round.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to NextRungGaming's The First Rung. This is our weekly podcast talk show where we talk about 40k, events, list building, and various sundry hobby-related topics. As with me every week, I have Rick Fiera,
Hello.
Connor,
What up?
3D Dan,
I'm Dan.
and Pete the Headbanger.
Whoa.
So, we're gonna just jump right into it this week. Last weekend was the ATC, and our boy Connor went.
Indeed.
So,
Oh, that's what we're excited for. I was excited for Nights. Okay.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Are we excited for
that
okay.
happened too. That
Nights
We're
happened too.
We're not talking about no nights. We're only talking about me. No.
So, how was it, Connor?
Yeah, so I'll just get into it. So I was it was actually a cool enough story. So I was not planning on going to ATC. I got messaged by some of my boys up in Maryland on the Peace Through DACA team. They had their Eldar player had to pull out at the last minute, and they needed somebody to pick up the Eldar spot on the team. So I filled in. It was a really fun event overall. Gotta say, shouts out to the ATC guys. I think there was like one slip up with BCP, but it's like nobody did anything wrong. The tables were great. There was enough space. The terrain was good. The shit was just banging overall. Like, it was a great fucking time. So I'll give a quick rundown of our list, and I'll get into some of the games. And also, for those who don't know, the ATC is the American Team Championship. This year it was 420 players, I believe. And the way that a team tournament works in Warhammer is you have 5 players on every team, and you match up with the other team in a cool pairings process that we got into a couple weeks ago. So if you want to know more deets, you can check out that episode. But basically, like, it's 5-on-5. And you try to get good matchups for your team. There's like a little mini game involved in that. So my matchups were I was taking on Tau a lot. I played Tau 3 times at the tournament. And our lists were I was playing Eldar Flyers. I had 7 Flyers and some stuff on the ground. We had a guy playing Tau, like triple Riptide Tau. We had a guy playing a Cerastus, Knight Lancer, Triple Tank Commander, Guard list. We had a guy playing like Jim Vessel's Plague Bearer list. We had a guy playing our buddy Shane, who we had on the show, was playing his Custodes. It's like 14 bikes, a couple Palace Ground Tanks, and some Blood Angel stuff. And then we had, I don't know if it is. So that was me, Shane, Ken, Rob, Shane. Yeah, that was all 5. So off the top, I'll say that we got 23rd out of 80 teams, which is pretty good. I was pretty stoked about that. The way that our matchups went down, the first round, we actually played the Wobbly Modelers, who were not the Wobbly Gentlemen who ended up winning the event, but it's one of the teams like under their umbrella. So there's a bunch of dudes that I know from Virginia, which was kind of funny. But we ended up.
Was that Ernie?
What was that?
Was that Ernie and Kelsey's?
Yeah, so it was Ernie, Hernan Rodriguez, Josh Kinder, a fellow named Miles, who I played, and then 2 other guys whose names I can't remember. But we played them round 1, and we pulled it out. I drew the Tau matchup, won that by 20, which is to be expected. Although, funnily enough, it was not the same with some of my Tau matchups later in the tournament. So we took that one pretty well. Round 2, we played the War-Torn team, who in a cool way, where the dude's actually running the stream at ATC, which was really good. I recommend people checking that out on Twitch. Pro Tabletop is the name of the guys. And we played them, and we won all of our games in round 2, which was pretty sweet. So we 5-0'd those guys. I had a super cool moment in my game against the Tau player, who was running like Ghost Keels and a Crisis Suit. I was able to zone out the entire board for turns 2 and 3. So I was able to deny him from bringing in his Crisis Suit bomb like entirely. So they just died and never got to touch the board, which was very satisfying. And I won that game by like 30, so that was a pretty good win. And then round 3 on Friday. Who did we play on round 3? Oh, I can't remember. No, I'm sorry. It was just 2 games on the first day. So that was the first 2. So we went 2-0 day 1, which was and then day 2 things got real, right? So first up, we played the general staff. I think were the guys. And they were really cool. I played their Necron player. He had like a Seraptech and some Doomsday arcs and some like Canoptic arc things. I that game was really cool. It really just came down to I was able to kill his Seraptech on turn 2, and then it was pretty much over from there. If I had not killed the Seraptech, I think I might have lost that game because the Seraptech has a top active profile strat. So if I missed a wound on it, it was going to die. It was going to be able to act a top shelf and kill my army. So that was pretty good. That's one of the things that I think I could have probably played it better because the whole game came down to did I get Doom and Jinx off and did I kill this thing in one turn? And if not, I lose. But luckily, I didn't. I made the roll, so I killed the Seraptech, and then I think I beat him by 20 or 20 points. And then round 2, we played the Gentle Hogs, who were a team that I think got it was like they're like top 15 at the end of the event, and we got fucking wrecked. Like we got absolutely destroyed, guys. We got 0-5. They totally swept us. I particularly played a Bash Brothers list, and this is one of the cool things about ATC. You get to play so many different types of people and different lists. Like I played Bash Bros before, not with my flyer list. So basically, the way that game went was it was a hammer and anvil deployment, and I went first, which is great for me against the Bash Bros. And specifically, it was Bash Bros with double Discordant, and they had some CSM stuff. So I felt like decent going into the game. And I learned a big lesson, which was if you're playing Eldar Flyers and you get to go first against the Bash Bros, kill Magnus.
Oh God!
You will
Always
probably
kill
not
Magnus.
kill Mortarion. In my case, I did 7 wounds to Mortarion, and then I got fucked like hard. I scored 7 points in that game. Like I got totally destroyed,
Wow.
and it didn't matter because I'm pretty sure nobody won in that round. I might be misremembering, but I think we got totally wrecked in round 4. So that was sad, and that was where I kind of personally I got thrown off. Getting wrecked that hard, I wasn't expecting to get wrecked that hard, so it kind of messed with my head. Especially playing like a list I wasn't super duper familiar with. So going in around 3, we drew Weapons of Mass Intoxication. There were some really cool dudes. I don't know where they're from. Really cool. And I played a Drukhari Venom spam list, and I ended up losing by 5. And my team was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, it's nothing. Like, the guy was a good player, and it's a good list, but, like, it's probably a list I should beat by, like, 10 points if I do it right. And what I did was it's also worth mentioning that he had the in-car in his list. And so I play the in-car I have in the past, so I know what she can do to flyers. So turn 1, I saw an opportunity to go kill her. Like he left the in-car in his backfield, only screened by 1 unit of 5 cavalry. So I was like, I'm gonna kill her. Like so I flew 4 planes over there. I killed the screen, and then I didn't kill the in-car. Like she got left with remaining.
Oh no!
So that totally sucked. And then from there, basically, he had so many poison shots that he was able to clear out my ground troops in like 2 turns. So I was really close. Like I came within a ball's hair of getting boots on the ground on turn 3.
Oh no!
It was basically like I had a Farseer who just like tanked blasters and 30 poison shots to not die, and then I was able to lose the game by 5, which is better than just getting totally blown out in the ATC format because it's all about differential scoring. So I kept that to 5. I think if I play better, I have a lot better chance of winning that game. And so that was where I really kind of went on tilt after that. Like my headspace was totally wrecked. Like we won the round. Like I was the only loss in round 5 for our team, which felt bad because everybody else won pretty big. So that was day 2. At this point, I'm 2. I am I'm 3-2. I had 2 losses that really messed up my headspace. So going into Sunday, I wasn't feeling really great, like at all, because we really wanted to win that game so we could try to finish top 10 because we still had a shot at that. And so day 3, we pulled Warhammered, which are a fairly famous team, and they were good. They had Carlos Kaiser, who's a good player, Jessica Bowman, who's a good player, Paul Bowman's a good player, David Penfield, I think the guy's name is a good player. And I don't know the last guy's name, it's like Marcus something, but he's playing Orcs. And we lost to that team. And this is kind of really where I'll get into this. The last game was the worst game for me by far. Like getting stomped out by the patch sucked, but it wasn't like I messed up in that game, but it didn't cost the team anything because we got totally destroyed in that round, so it wouldn't have mattered how many points I scored.
Right.
But in the last day, I drew Jessica Bone, who was playing Tau, and like Tau is supposed to be my matchup. I play Eldar Flyers. Eldar Flyers are very good against Tau because of all the hit modifiers that Tau have a time actually hitting.
Right.
So basically, we drew Hammer and Anvil, which is great for me, and I went first. In retrospect, I probably should have gone second. I'll get to that in a second. So I went first, and she did prepared positions. And for reference, her list was triple tied, 27 drones, and 3 bullets, and then some characters. So I went first, and she prepared positions, and I did a phantasm strategy to redeploy my 2 scatterbike squads to the front line to shoot her drones. With prepared positions, the drones have a 3-up, 5-up feel no pain. So the scatterbikes really don't do much to them. So the turn 1, I ended up killing about 20 drones, but I left 1 unit of 1 drone and then a full 9-man left. So I didn't get a bloodshed, which cost me a point. I didn't get a kill more. She ended up killing 2 of my planes in her turn. And this was perhaps the biggest mistake of the weekend. I forgot to put one of my characters on the objective in my deployment zone, so I missed my hold point, and she got hold more. So it was a 3-point swing on turn 1 off the bat. So I was like, all right, it's cool. Like, I can still come back. It's still fucking Tau. I'm Eldar Flyers. Basically, the way the rest of the game played out, I only ended up winning by 2 points, which is absolutely terrible in ATC if it's a matchup you're supposed to dunk. Because it's all about getting yourself into a good matchup so you can score a lot of points off your opponent and boost up your team's overall score. So I bring up the gaff on the 3-point swing on turn 1 basically cost us a draw in that matchup because the way ATC works, you have to beat your opponent. Your team score has to beat your opponent's team score by 21 to get a win for the round. We lost by 21 points. So if I had my Warlock on that objective, we would have had a draw. If I had done my job and beat the Tau list the way that my list is supposed to, we might have pulled out a win. I don't think we could have because I would have had to max her out, which is probably something I should do against Tau, but I didn't end up doing it. The way the flyer list works is you usually score a 20-point victory over your opponent if it's a bad matchup. Because while the flyer list is really powerful, it's not super great at scoring really high. It's not going to get a 30-point win unless you totally just blow the guy out. And Jessica's a good player, so that wasn't really going to happen. So basically, I felt really shitty because I cost the team that and I probably cost us. I don't know what the math is, but we probably could have maybe broke top 15 if I hadn't fucked up. So that was a really big learning experience in terms of a team format because I was joking, side story, I was joking with somebody in between the games, and he was saying he doesn't feel that bad losing in a team format because the rest of the guys can just carry him. I feel terrible losing in a team format because everybody's scores matter a lot because it comes down to how many points are you scoring, how many points are you denying your opponent, how many points can you get for your team. So if you're in a matchup you're supposed to win by a lot and you win by 2 points, you should have got more points. You fucked the team over. So that was. What's up, Dan?
I was gonna say, I know talking to a couple of people that they're like, being a defender, those lists that are designed to be kind of like you jump on the grenade, you take the bad match. Those are actually easier to play than something that's being dedicated. Like I'm the anti-Tau player
Yeah.
because
One second.
it's less stressful and tend to like mitigate the points being scored by the opponent versus having to worry about am I going to max blow out the other defender.
Right.
And I just know that I would not. I almost would relish being the. I'm going to play a bad matchup and I'm going to let the savviness get us out of it.
Right.
Trying to. I have to definitely smash it.
Yeah, so you're talking about defenders are kind of easy.
Well, I'm saying like some people like I think have a misperception that being a defender is more stressful than being an attacker, but I can't help but see that you being an attacker. Like, I'm the anti-guard, anti-Tau player. That puts a lot more stress if you can't perform for whatever reason. That's stressful.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Because I was thinking, especially in my position, playing a list. I think I got like 8 practice games in the list before the tournament, and I practiced with like paper cutouts. So, and I didn't get to practice any of my matchups going into the tournament, which is like,
yeah, that's.
I don't want to use that. It's not really like an excuse. It's just like my inexperience really showed up in the under pressure. Because like against Tau, there were a lot of things I could have done to score more points in that game. Like one of the big things that happened on turn 1 was like a Crimson Hunter has a 36-inch range gun and a 48-inch range gun. I left one drone alive that was outside of 36, but within 48 of my Crimson Hunters, and I just forgot that I had a 48-inch range gun. So like that's another situation where I could have favor and won us and got us that draw. And just like a couple other things with Tau that I just like I forgot that the Hemlock causes -2 leadership to things like the whole time. And it's really just like my inexperience with the list really showed up, and I think that moving forward with ATC, it's kind of given me a new perspective on playing 40k games because before this, I've pretty much only ever played Guardian Spam. For like a year and a half, that's all I've been doing. So I don't have experience with any other kind of Eldar list. And now knowing what I do about ATC and wanting to go back next year, I think moving forward, I'm going to play a lot of different types of lists just so I can be familiar with what's good in the Eldar archetype because that's what I'm going to play when I go to ATC again. Just so I can know how things work and what matchups mean for me. Because like I was actually talking with my friend earlier. I think that my Guardian Spam list would have been like a decent defender list in retrospect.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the way the ATC works is cool because if you're the first defender that goes out, you get to pick your table. So like I would take like whatever matchup and I'd pick a heavy terrain table and I wouldn't get blown out just because like I know that list really well, and I know what I need to do to like either maybe pull out a win or just not get fucked. So that was really interesting in thinking about like it wouldn't have worked so well in our team composition, I think, because they needed someone
that's
to
the
be
conscientious decision you need to make with the team, and you kind of got that last. It's like having 6 months to build up.
Yeah, getting it last minute. It's I really the only regret I really have from ATC is that last game against Jessica Bowman. That really stung. Like I mean, it's nothing against her at all. Like she's a super good player. It was a great game. It was just like there were so many things I could have done. They were so obvious to get me more points. And we went into the game and she was like, "Yeah, let's make this." Like she's like, "Yeah, this is like a bad matchup for me. So like, let's just like rock it." And then she was like fucking stoked because she kept it to 2 points, which is like that's like a major win. That's like a major fucking win. And she like really like did it perfectly. You know what I mean? And I like made enough mistakes that she could capitalize on to just like wreck me, which sucked a lot. But yeah, so overall, it was a great event. I would totally recommend everyone go. I had like a weird perspective of ATC before but it's just like a bunch of I don't really know what I thought of it, but I wasn't super high on it. I didn't really consider going very much, but now having been, I'm like, that was an awesome event. I love team events.
Right.
And I'm really excited to like build a team this year and then go into ATC like knowing what I'm going to do and having like a pairing strategy and all that kind of stuff because it's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, hey, so how did everybody else do?
Okay, so overall, I went 4-2. Our team captain went 4-2. Shane Watts, I think, went 3-3. Jonas, who was our guard player, went 3, and then Rob, I think, went 2-3. Who was our chaos player?
How did you guys divvy up?
Right. So a lot of the time, our first defender was our chaos player because he's playing Plague Bear Spam.
Right. Makes sense.
So that was kind of the baseline, and the way that our coach approached matchups was he would put out a defender. Like after he put out Rob, because Rob was kind of the go-to defender, he would put out defenders according to what bad matchups they had left on the opponent's side. So like if Rob takes the first grenade, and then like say out of the teams that are left, I have one bad matchup out of the 4 teams that are left. He did like a little score system. It was like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5 best, 1 worst. So if I had 4 matchups left, and I had one of them that was a 1 that I just get dunked by, and then the rest were like 3s or 4s or something like that, he would throw me out next. Because the way that the format works is once you put a defender out, the opponent puts out 2 attackers.
Right.
And the team that's being, and this happens for each team, each person puts out a defender, each person puts out 2 attackers. So you then get to choose which of the 2 attackers you want your defender to play against. And his theory was like, if I have one bad matchup, he'll just pick out of the and the one bad matchup comes out as one of the 2 attackers. He'll just pick the other. So like the idea was like nobody has to play a matchup they get dunked by if we can help it. And like it worked really well. Like I think that Shane and Ken had been to ATC before, but like me, Jonas, and Rob had never been. And like in retrospect, I still am like a little smarting over how I played the town match. But like we got 23rd out of 80, and there were some pretty good teams. We played some pretty good teams. Almost tied. Like, if I didn't totally shit the bed, we would have tied Warhammer, who's like a good team. So like, post the sharp pain of fucking up, I feel pretty proud. Like being a first timer there, the field was really good. We were in it until we got dunked by Gentle Hawks. And they got 7th, so I don't feel super bad about that. And I learned a lot, and it was like the whole experience was pretty eye opening. 40K stuff. It broke me out of my box a little bit, having me consider different builds and wanting to play things. So yeah, 23rd overall feels pretty good, and it was a great time.
Yeah, how did you place respectively with Elba? Did they announce that?
I think that I probably got maybe like top 200. Because like I had the one that I got dunked by the Bash Brothers really dropped my score hard because I only scored 7 points.
Yeah,
which is bad, which is like super bad in ATC. But I mean, the thing that I really did like about it is just like kind of what you were talking about, like being an attacker, there's a lot more pressure. It's really cool, like knowing in your head, like I have to do well for the team. Like it's more than just about like I want to win this game. Like in a GT, like I just want to win the game by a point or whatever, so I can move to the next bracket and stay undefeated, like in a singles event. But in teams, it's like I really got to fucking pull this out for my guys because like if everybody down the line is like grinding out games and doing what they can to win, and you're like supposed to dunk the other guy, like you really have to dunk the other guy because everyone else is putting in work, so you have to put in the same amount of work so you guys can come out on top. And it was just like for me, never having had that experience before, and my normal list not really being like a list that's going to wipe you off the board. Like my Guardian spam doesn't really do that a lot of the time. Like it can, but it's mostly kind of like a grindy list where I pull out wins.
Right.
But like in ATC, it's like you gotta like fuck people up. I did that 3 times, and then I didn't do that 3 times, which is interesting. Like I think you make a really good point, Dan. Like being an attacker, I think if you know your list really well and you know the matchups really well, it's a lot easier. But if you don't, it's very difficult because the smallest mistakes can cost you a lot of points.
Right.
And even if you still win, and you should have won by like 10 more points, that can cost the team win. So it's a really interesting dynamic that I look forward to next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it sounds like you had a lot of fun, and I'm smarting over the fact that I just couldn't get there, but I'm looking forward to it.
Dude, next year, dude. So I overall placed the health out of 420, which is like pretty good. Like the one thing I will say about the Eldar Flyers is like I have never done this well with my singles list, and partially it was I had good matchups and I kind of like lost my bad matchups, but still it felt good to go 4-2. Even if I could have done better for the team. And it's Eldar Flyers are so fucking stupid. Like they're so dumb. They need to fix that shit. It's like
My
like,
feelings exactly.
Like fix the Eldar Flyers, give us the Incarn back, make her good because she's fucked at this point in time. The rest of my case.
Yep.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had fun, man. It sounds like it's super like a positive overall learning, but also having.
Yeah, positives that way, the negatives for sure.
Good.
But yeah, it was a great event, man. It was really fun. If anybody can get out there in the future, like I'd recommend it. Move into a new location, so I think you're gonna have a little more space. But for sure, just like get your fucking ticket the second you can. Because it's I mean, also the drive to Chattanooga is fucking brutal. But it's doable. So just like roll with a squad in the course. Y'all can keep each other awake and switch off driving.
Yeah,
because it's
from what like some friends of the show down in Frederick, just a little north of south. They did the whole caravan route. Hell of a lot of fun.
dude. One of the guys I talked to, he straight up like he missed his flight or somebody missed the flight, so he had to drive like the night for like 12 hours.
Was that a Tau player?
I think it was Davis Fry from Fredericksburg. Like he was like,
Yeah,
it was so fucked.
I know Ryan, also a friend of the show, had to drive to Tau player.
Yeah, the boy Ryan Christensen.
Yep.
Yeah, Ryan's a great dude.
So, did you see any Chaos Knights down there? Were there any, night Chaos
It
Knights?
wasn't out, bruh. I saw some people with the Codex.
Yeah, I know. I'm super bitter. I had an opportunity to go to Saturday. I was all excited. Oh no, they just didn't get the shipment. So it's being mailed to me. So
Yeah.
But you know what I'm more excited for?
What's that?
The tournament.
Yeah, dude. You want to talk about the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, so I know those of you paying attention know Nova opened about what, half, give or take.
Yeah.
So there's our friends at Warp Charge Gaming, let's say Coastal Gaming too.
Yeah, Coach Wargaming from Virginia
They're
Beach.
putting on a major that me and Connor are going to, and I'm super excited. I'm a little disappointed because we couldn't get the codex for Chaos, but it's going to be Nova format. I think we're up to what, 62, 60 players.
I think it's 63 after 2 drops.
So yeah, and I believe George said that they have. So to be saying, like I said, say that I'm excited. I'm super.
You're cutting out like a lot, Dan.
Yeah. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just saying, I'm super stoked for it. There's going to be really cool, but I'm a little as we were getting on the air pretty much the past 2 hours. I know there's been adjustment to Nova that did you guys have a chance to see them yet?
I saw that it was something about like the strike, the rank, and file change. Like it's like you get the point if you kill a quarter of the unit, or you leave a quarter of the unit alive, or something like
that. The big change is they eliminated primary point and caps out at 12 now. It's down to 18, and they
but you said the primary caps at 12.
Yeah, the tertiary bonus, which was based on how many percentage or points of the army you destroyed, went from 4 points to 3. And there are a few secondaries, like Connor mentioned, strike the rank and file, which is killing troops. Moment of bloodshed, which is destroy 2+ units a turn. Now 3, and there was one other.
Wait, moment of bloodshedd's 3.
Yep.
What? Fuck, man. Yeah. Fucking Mike Brandt. Fucking shit up, man.
No, I think it's gonna be cool. They had a whole newsletter where what they're trying to express is that it felt like Nova, and specifically last year, was you rolled in, you knew what you could max, you knew what you could almost max, and if you're going to win the match, it was going to be a stomp, move on. What they're trying to create is more of a tension. So I'm excited. I have officially put the Castell in the bed. I know I've been talking about it for a couple weeks, but I brought it out for the last hurrah Saturday. Won the damn thing. Tournament. I had some really good moments. Luke was a friend of down in Huzzah. I played him at top table in the last hell of a game. I won by 1 point. He's such a good player. I don't think people realize how good he is. But yeah, the Castellan's in bed. Being put to bed. I'm going to be running because I couldn't get Chaos Knight. I'm running 2 Crusaders and a Gallant.
So speaking of Chaos Knights,
yes,
I think Dan's been chomping at the bit for this topic all day.
What gave that away? I mean,
nothing. I just a little bit of deduction. So, yeah. What do you think, Dan? Do you like him?
Here's the funny part. I don't know.
You don't know.
No. Okay. So here's a bit. The knights themselves are very solid. I like the rule set in general, but whenever we talk about this kind of stuff, we always talk about how do things fit into archetypes of lists, like going back to the pillars of list building. And I'm not, and other people are with me. We're not exactly sure where knights fit in that meta because it's such. The general consensus is the melee knights are going to be absurd with them. You already have Mortarion, the Lord Discordance. You have a lot of beat sticks that you have in the Chaos toolkit, and they have some solid shooting, but we're still trying to figure out where the meta is going to shake out there. The general consensus is almost we're going to have to create a new archetype. So I'm super excited that ends up shaking up. I'm a bit. Okay, so let me back up. There's gonna, for those of you who know Imperial Knights, there's, Western Imperial, and I believe you have 4 or 5 houses per subfaction that give you traits like chapter traits. Yeah, they don't get that in the way it breaks down. You either have Infernal, which is the Western Kiss, so the dark background.
Yo, Dan, you're cutting out like a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got them.
I can't barely hear you.
Let me reconnect.
So he's reconnecting. I just want to say, I think this is from a non-knight player. I'm kind of happy that I actually truly am happy that it's not just reskinned Imperial Knights. And I really say that genuinely.
Yeah.
That was my biggest fear when this was coming out. That was basically just going to be Imperial Knights with spiky bits glued on. Um,
How about now? Can people hear me better?
Yep.
oh yeah.
Okay. Long story short, there's two different houses or two different sub factions. You have Icon Classic, which as their trait improves the AP of melee weapons by 1 and gives them an additional attack if they charge, are charged, or heroically intervene, which I think opens up some interesting dynamics with the Warglaves, the new War Dogs they're called. I think they make melee even nastier. But I'm more excited about the Infernal. Their house trait, if you will, is they have to either take a mortal wound and roll a dice, D3, or take D3 mortal wounds and pick one to either get +2 movement and 1 to their advance and charge, +1 toughness, or here's the fun part, add 1 strength and 1 damage to their ranged weapon profile of 1. So, like Gatling Cannon suddenly becomes a strength 7 that also does 3 damage. Or if you did take a Chaos Castellan, your plasma gun now is strength 9 and 3 damage, much like Hall's Wrath.
Which is pretty
So
brutal.
yeah, a lot of and there was some weird is the wrong way of saying it, but there have been some interesting point drops. Like no one on the Imperium side uses thermal, except for a few situations where you take a Crusader to save points. Well, they dropped 5 points. A Imperial Knight Errant, which is like a melee weapon in the thermal cannon, is 393 points. Chainsword. Double thermal cannon now is 395. So, Avenger Gatling cannons is really good. Actually, they went up 10 points each. Rapid fire battle cannon actually down 10 points. So, like, if you take the contemporary Crusader from the Imperium with the rapid fire battle cannon and the Gatling cannon, it's the same cost. It's just the gun prices have. But I'm overall super excited about it. I'm the one person I want to hear from though is Rick, because while I've dabbled in Chaos but have done most Imperium thing, I know Mr. Rick is consistently looking forward to playing with Smiting Titan.
Yeah. So a lot of my excitement around Codex Chaos Knights is that Knights came out in 6th edition. Imperial Knights were a thing. We waited until like late 6th, early 7th to get like, okay, you can use Knights in Chaos things. They don't get any rules or houses though. And then in 7th we had later on we had the Renegade kit come out, which had a little bit of rules, but not really. And then all of 8th we've been kicking around with our index, which wasn't good.
Yeah.
So I've only been able to skim the codex. A lot of the things that I like to look at are the lore and the paint jobs and things like that. I haven't read anything in depth other than like the little briefs on each of the fallen sort of knight houses and the Dreadblades.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of disappointed. This is a small codex.
Yeah. Comparatively.
It's thin and very light. Some of the fluff seems just kind of like I I need generic chaos trope A, and I'll just combine that with generic chaos trope C. I don't have to think about this. All right, and then what's a cool sounding knight name? Like Song of Valor. Cool. Now you're Song of Destruction, and you fell, and off we go. Most of the color schemes are like dark blue and dark green, and that's it. And there's not a lot of imagination there. So I'm a little disappointed in that. I feel like if they'd had the depth of house, like specific house rules, that there would be more done. So I'm a little bummed about that. Some of the houses that exist in here are pretty cool. It's just they all kind of sound the same in some ways, and you're either red, green, or blue. There's a lot of colors that we could have done. Um, I think that the Dreadblade lore is probably some of the better stuff in here. Rules wise, I do appreciate the simplicity of you really got two types of knight to pick from. All of your customization, all of the real like in-depth things that you're gonna do to your knight are stratagems. With your vows, or picking your what is it? I know damnation is the negative one. Is it boons for the
Pact
packs?
for the Dreadblade.
Right. So you've got a lot of customization. There's some cool stratagems and things in here. As a chaos player, the thing that all of us were watching for is that in sixth and seventh there was such a thing as a demon knight. It was a knight that you gave a mark and had the demon keyword. So I think no one expected it because it would have been broken in this edition, but it was something I think everyone was watching for to see whether that was a thing we were going to be able to do, because if you put Damon on a knight, it would have been a big deal. There would have been a lot of interesting buffs and interesting things to do there, but I legitimately think it would have been broken. God keywords would have been fluffy, but had very few interactions. There's obviously no Heretic Astartes keywords, though. For as much as I know about knights and them being piloted by humans, there is a knight in the book where they specifically tell you that Wordbearer Astartes now pilot it, so
interesting.
That might be a thing that happens next edition, that we get the Heretic Astartes keyword or something. Overall, I think that they've done this pretty well. Like we've talked about, Chaos Knights are good at melee, which is kind of how Chaos rules are always written. You have the general leadership debuff stuff that Chaos seems to be known for this edition, even though it's not always great. But I actually think, so I've talked about it before, that I actually think that there's a couple of like weird leadership army builds you could do that would probably work because they're based more on auras than targeting single units. And if you could strike multiple units, you could get something off. Chaos Knights are probably the thing that makes it work because they make you roll twice and take the higher as an aura. So if you can get multiple leadership tests off using things like Butcher Cannons and Night Lords, you could probably screw up a Horde army pretty bad, especially if it was like if it's like Vessels list and he's making you fight one unit of Plague Bearers. It's not great, but you could feasibly hit both of them if they're on the table and make him pick them up, even with his character. The other matchup that I think Chaos Knights are really going to affect is Chaos really relies on Psychers. Like, everyone's got Ahriman and some Demon Princes, or at least some Terminator Sorcerers. And Chaos Knights, with their stratagem to make Psychers just auto peril if they're within 12 inches, that's a serious thing to consider. It's weird on Chaos Knights, I think, because it seems like a chaos counter as opposed to anyone else. Other people use psychic powers, but I feel like chaos is really reliant on psychic powers.
Very
Someone
nice
has
with
not
the
seen
words,
the
sir.
new Blood Ravens rules.
Yeah, that's true. They're coming, aren't
No,
they?
they're well, they've been leaked. I wanted to talk about
Yeah,
it for a minute.
yeah. I do like everything in this codex just about in terms of rules. I think the Infernal Household, Ambition, Demonic Surge, where you can take the Mortal Wound to roll or to take D3 to pick, is pretty strong. especially because right now they also have a stratagem that lets them heal themselves if you're that house, and you can tap into Forge World and take Hell Rights to heal your knight. Which, I mean, if you're doing that, like, you're probably using a shooting knight anyway, so you're probably double Gatling cannon because that gives you the most flexibility at anything toughness 7 or lower. Which with this adding, the strength and the damage, you could probably spike into that T8 a little bit better. Probably not better than a thermal cannon, but you can give them a run for their money. And if you're just sitting back with 2 Hellrights and your stratagem healing your knight as you take D3 mortal wounds and just blast people off the table, that's pretty strong. I think that, like you were saying, Dan, war dogs or armigers or Hellfrins. I think the problem that like armigers with their close combat weapon was that it felt like they could get bogged down in a horde. 2, 3 of them with extra attacks and like reroll hits or reroll charges with the what is it, their chaos version of the Perceptor, letting them reroll attacks. Like they can kind of chew through anything they want to.
Yeah. Like, no joke.
They're basically demon princes, but with the little buffs, they get a little bit better. Is there anything specific you want to talk about? Did you like want to go over the vows or something?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, like I said, I actually haven't had eyes on it yet. My copy that I was expecting to have,
Right.
I haven't gotten yet. But I just think it's going to be interesting. I'm actually excited for like a Gatling cannon, thermal cannon knight, because thermal cannon's cheap as hell.
Yeah.
French, and you can put the Gatling cannon and increase its strength up.
Right.
I don't know. I even think like there's a I forgot his name. The website. Find it. But he's convinced that 3 double thermal cannon Gatling double thermal cannon knights in the Icon Classic, which is the melee centric one with the extra attack and charges, is going to be absurd because they're getting 12 stomps each, 15 stomps each, and AP3.
Yeah.
That's like, it's, hey, here's $3.95 for 2d6 melt the shots at strength 9 melt the shots at 36 inches that also are like really deadly in combat.
Yeah, and you can't stop them because they can fall back and shoot.
All for under 1,200.
Yeah. The other thing that I've been looking at is the fact that you can get the extra attacks. You can use them in your stomps, and then you can chain sweep. So like you just run up, fight a unit of plague bearers, and then chain sweep them, and it's like, all right, I stomped Lord knows how many times. I'm a little sad there aren't more Chaos Knights. Like I wish, like the Despoiler kit had come out this week, and next week something else was coming out, and then the Codex was dropping, or something like that. Because the Rampager just isn't very good compared to the other ones. Maybe he's a keeper or something. I'm not sure yet. But I think it's a good place. I don't know that Chaos Knights alone are going to be a super great army, but Chaos Soup has always been great. I think they'll find a place. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Nova will probably be their first real chance.
Yeah. How excited are you for them, Connor?
Dude, I'm fucking salty as shit about these stupid Chaos Knights. I'm sitting over here trying to make my Eldar work, playing some goddamn flyers that are stupid. These Chaos Knights are gonna fuck those flyers up, man. Like, the one dude who ignores hit modifiers is gonna be a menace.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a fucking menace.
Yeah. It's a relic. And then they get access to their. You can put an Icarus gun on the back of them and shoot at stuff too, I suppose.
So I think. So does the relic say that the guy himself and all of his guns ignore modifiers?
Let me double check. I can look at it right here. I'm pretty sure he just ignores modifiers, period, as long as you have the fly keyword.
And you can give him that route to 10 or more vehicles. So that dude's like, if he can do everything and he's taking that that thing on his back, he's probably killing like 2 flyers a turn.
Yeah. Yeah, easy. So Helm of Warpsight can go on a Rampager, Desecrator, or Despoiler. When resolving attacks made with a ranged weapon on this model, ignore hit to roll modifiers. So he just ignores modifiers. Period. He doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've always
Don't be
I don't know.
salty. Don't be salty.
I've always thought knights were really stupid. It's just like the shit is, it's way wrong, man. It's like you get this big fucking thing. You can be like, it is a 4-pin wolf, bro. Oh, it's got 1 wound left. This is Imperium. It's gonna act at top shelf for 1 CP. I'm like, this is fucking stupid.
That's why
God
you brought
damn.
Razor Wing. So just back that.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I mean,
I did vect it, but then I couldn't kill the. I mean, it's like I'm kind of like half kidding because like you can deal with knights. I just don't like. I don't know. It's like I think for something that you just have to like pay the point, and maybe spend like 2 or 3 CP on, and it takes like an entire army to kill it. And if you whiff, you're just like fucked.
yeah,
It kind of grinds my gears, right?
yeah.
Because I know everybody hates Eldar, right?
Ridiculous.
We
Sort of
have
like
one good build right now. We have flyers, and they're
Right.
great.
And Guardian Spam.
right.
I don't
And
like.
Warlock Conclave.
I love the Conclave is not that good. It's strong.
Oh, them
It's
fighting
not.
words, sir.
It's not.
I think
Them
we might
fighting
have a
words.
difference of opinion.
Like my boy Jack Harpster did really good at BAO.
Shuckman would love
I was
words
talking to him
with
about that shit at ATC, and that list, unlike a fucking knight, comes down to like, can I roll a 6 on 2 dice to get quick enough? And if I don't, I'm fucked. Right? Like that. So a Warlock Conclave for 10 of them is 700 points.
Mm-hmm.
You can get 2 fucking knights for that practice. That's ridiculous.
Not that can jinx me, smite me, and
Dude, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. Playing with the Warlock Conclave takes skill, right? Playing with the knight, you're just like, I'm gonna push this thing around. Oh,
All right.
yeah. I'm
All
gonna
right.
fucking shoot you.
all right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the
Yeah.
perspective I would offer here is that Games Workshop is a weird place right now in terms of like the concept of a knight, or even like a transcendent Catan in a vault, like for Necrons. Those are things that were imagined for Apocalypse originally, and we just added at some point in 7th edition. Everybody was like, "Screw it, bring them, put them in the game," and we can't put that genie back in the bottle. I do agree with Connor in the respect that like I'm not going to say that knights don't require skill, but I will say that if I took 2 players, right? If I take 2 people that don't know how to play 40k and teach them to play, and I give one guy 500 points of knights and the other guy 500 points of ultramarines, we know exactly how that game is going to play out. There's no way around it.
Ultramarines all the way. I mean, come on.
Yeah, obviously.
What else?
Which I think
I pretty much know how that works out because Gilliman can face tank an entire goddamn army.
Okay.
It happened. It happened to me.
I mean, it could happen, but more likely the dude shows up with like 2 rhinos and some tac squads and gets obliterated. Like, but my point is, I think that skew, especially an army that there like is just that. There's like if I start somebody playing Space Marines and somebody playing Eldar, Eldar might be strong this edition, and the player might just do well with any kind of build of Eldar versus Marines because Marines are not as good this edition. But
Right.
there's just no other build for knights except for knight, which makes things weird. And I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily a problem at the competitive level, though it creates interesting questions and problems. I think they can be addressed. I think it's more of a problem that like I feel like a lot of new players get into knights because they're cool and it seems like a quick way to get into 40k. And I don't know that GW does a good job of explaining like this is a weird army. people may not want to play you, or people may take issue with you playing these, which is unfortunate, and something I think we as a community probably need to pick up the slack on, and do a better job.
Yeah.
I think the one last one, Dan. I'm mostly poking fun at you, right? And net players in general. I don't think that it doesn't take skill at night. You have to know how to approach things. I was playing my buddy Tyler before this, and like the first time he was running a knight and guard, I was running Eldar Flyers, and like the first time we played, he positioned his knight wrong and it got blown. The second time we played, he positioned his knight right. The game out at the end, right? So like that was like a skill thing. Like he pre-measured some stuff. He knew what I was going to do with my flyers. He kept the knight out of range of my psychic powers turn one. But I will say that, like, yes, people talk about Eldar and they're like, "Oh, you got Doom and Jinx." I'm like, bro, I still have to roll it. Like, I still have to make that power go off. I still have to get around your denies. If you're a smart player, you'll put a psyker in front of the knight and force a deny. And like I think my thing with knights is like people just like have to bring a knight. And there's like 3 things you have to know to not get your knight blown up. And then you're fine. But like with Eldar Flyers, they are really broken for a lot of reasons. I think they mostly exist for the knight matchup. Because Eldar has a tough time dealing with knights with anything but Eldar Flyers. And like the situation against knights with Eldar Flyers is like if you don't get Doom and Jinx off, you're not going to kill the knight because like all the guns on your flyers wound the knight on 4s and 5s, and without Doom, like you're not going to wound it.
That's
like
right.
enough times to take 24 wounds away from it, 5 up invuln save or a 6 up invuln save with Vect and Jinx. So like it's like I'm mostly just like I like poking fun at people, kind of troll, but I think that like the thing that is just like frustrating about knights is just the fact that like
it's binary.
You just have to pay the points for it, and it solves so many problems. And it's not, and it's just like I imagine it's like what playing against Eldar Flyers is like for people. Because I've played against Eldar Flyers and I've played against Knights with my Guardian spam list, and both fucking suck to play against. Probably the Eldar Flyers more. But like, if you think about the faction stuff, and with Chaos Knights especially, right? Because I'm an Eldar player, I'm going to whinge about Eldar, and then I'm going to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
So like, in my opinion, unless you're fucking Sean Naden and you're playing ATC format, there is like one top tier build that has a couple variations, mind you. But like for Eldar, it's like you're bringing a bunch of flyers and some tanks, and that's the best list you can bring. Like player skill aside, if you're like a very good player and you want to do well, you're probably bringing flyers. Probably there's always exceptions to the rule, but like I think kind of like across the board, Eldar Flyers are like the one good build for Eldar that's like really, really strong. And I think with something like Imperium or Chaos, you have a lot of more options because you have these knights because they solve so many problems just by existing on the board. And they can just kind of like they move their 12 inches, they're in range of stuff, they have great relics, they have great synergy within the Imperial and Chaos factions, and it's just like it seems like Dan was saying, very binary. And it's kind of like on the other end of it, you're like, fuck, that sucks. Like I'm jealous, you know. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm jealous. I wish I had something like that, and I wish that like my only answer for the giant robots was not that I just have to roll these psychic powers and I have to go first, because that's like not fun for me, you know.
Yeah.
And you know the Chaos Knights seem fucking ridiculous, man. Like the we can regen wounds thing. Like,
oh yeah, the comeback.
we can stand back up. Like,
yeah.
Thank God they don't have top shelf. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy.
I would say the frustration that you're putting out there on the competitive level is that knights force you in any list you build to ask the question of can I kill a knight? And if the answer is no, you've probably done your list wrong, which in certain codexes may require certain units that you don't want to play with. I don't like basing questions around ATC because ATC asks the question of can you table someone right now?
or lose graciously.
Right.
I mean outside of ATC though, any GT I've ever been to, you've had to get through knights.
Yeah. The other, though, I would say with respect to ACC, the other thing that it asks is how much do you know? Because if you know your codex well, and if you know everyone else's codex well,
True.
you can kind of play whatever you want at ATC and get away with it. But you have to know your stuff and make no mistakes.
Yep. So
And the reason Sean Aiden specifically because like his ATC Talos and 17 Haywire bucks, and
Yeah.
that's like really good against Knights.
Right.
I think it has problems with like other matchups. Like overall, it's like really strong list, I think. But it's like I brought him up specifically because like he's a guy on he just brings like wacky shit, and he's just like really really good at 40k.
Yeah.
Like as a person who is not like amazing at 40k, like I find myself just being frustrated with stuff like Knights and stuff like Eldar Flyers as well because it's just like, ugh. It's like I have this question, otherwise I'm gonna get dick stomped. I don't want to do that.
I was gonna say my only not counter, right, wrong way, but is for all of that grief Knights get, I'm still not as a dedicated Knights player, pretty much, or suit player with like 1,300 or more points. I'm not seeing them run away with any major tournament. Like, I think we have a friend of Brady, Almost Pro Gaming, who does the monthly top armies. I think they were number 10, like in terms of like having a super heavy with 1,300 or more. There was only they had like 3 top 5 in the entire month.
Right. Yeah. I don't think that the accusation, even in any edition, has ever been that Knights are too good as an army. I think the problem people take is that if I have to play around around the fact that Knights exist, it limits what I can do,
Yeah,
which
fair.
can be frustrating as just a general problem. And when you consider something like it's 365 points to make that a problem, some people, it can just be frustrating. And I definitely think while they're not abusive at the competitive level,
Oh, if we're talking
still,
like at a semi-casual, or I walk into a new store and just want to have a pickup game, I will
right.
not bring. I may bring one if I like advertise it on the Facebook, but like hell am I bringing?
Right. Which the conscious, like the zeitgeist of 40k players is formed out of a lot of different sources. I think a lot of the animosity is probably coming from that middle ground because, like I was saying, a lot of new players get into Knights, and I can tell that just by looking at them and looking at how they talk about them and how they play games, and have seen people complain on different things in terms of I showed up with my cool new Knight army and I was told I couldn't play. That's a rough spot for both sides. It's a weird place, and like I said, I think GW does a bad job of telling anyone what's going on there because I don't think they understand it, and I think we as a community have to pick that up.
It's not like I've been kicked out of GW.
No, most people wouldn't, but I've seen people blocked out of like escalation league things, which is unfortunate.
That was the joke I had.
Oh,
So I'm going to move us along.
yeah,
Yes.
As we are both hitting an hour, and I broke the video. Technological wizard here. So next thing we just leaked today, hot off the presses, we have. So GW's doing something new, talking about GW and the wonderful balancing. They are putting out chapter approved indexes for a lot of the smaller chapters for Space Marines. The first one they ran out is the good old fashioned Blood Ravens. If anybody doesn't know who they are, if you have ever played any of the Dawn of War games, you have played Blood Ravens. They got their rules dropped today. They are a very psyker heavy army. With a really neat tactic, and I actually wanted to talk about the chapter tactic. I know we're short on time. So the big thing that's interesting to me, their chapter tactic does two things. First, it lets you reroll ones for casting psychic powers, whatever. They're good psychers, we know that. But their other ability is anybody with this chapter tactic, any 2 wound roll of a natural 1 or 2 fails, regardless of any special rules the weapon or the model has, which I think is interesting. I think that is an interesting. Not only is it written, I'm also wondering, does that mean doubling out toughness doesn't work against them? Which means
Yes.
they're all.
So, yeah, my interpretation is like if you shoot me with the strength 8 gun and I'm toughness 4, does not matter on a 2 or a 1. Congratulations, I effectively have a 33 chance to just negate them.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty interesting rule. It actually makes them very tanky, in my opinion. Um, because yeah, I mean we all know the Space Marine stat line is nowhere near as durable as it should be.
Right.
Um,
Alternatively, I think it's overplayed, and I would be more excited for the Psyker element if they had the opportunity to get into anything like Thousand Sun. But
I think that
uh,
their stratagem is Master Psyker, or
right,
Master Librarian.
Master Librarian. Sorry, which
Chief Librarian.
if you remember the old 7th edition, it basically takes your librarian and makes him a level 2 librarian,
Right.
where he gets to know a second spell,
And
basically,
another deny.
And another deny.
and another deny, which is interesting. I think their biggest limitation is the fact that they are stuck with the Space Marine psychic list, which is not the
Right.
most amazing in my opinion.
Right.
I mean, not that there's not 1 or 2 things that are really good, like Null Zone, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have the versatility that Zinch has.
Right.
Now
Which
that said, I could see some new shenanigans going around with, I guess, the discordant stuff, or the Phobos stuff, I should say.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's not like Thousand Suns have one discipline with a lot of good powers. They just have access to 3 disciplines, and each of those have 1 or 2 good powers. Which the only thing Space Marines need is to be given access to more disciplines. Which I mean, we've seen Chaos Space Marine Codex 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen any of the Shadow Spear stuff released. I'm just assuming Space Marine Codex 2.0 is coming, and that they'll fix a couple of things there. Or maybe they won't because they don't want things that they release in indexes to be mainstream and super useful, but I can't see them stopping it now that they've put assassins out there. The only other thing I have to really say about this is I want to 100% put out there as a Thousand Suns player and someone super into the lore. Blood Ravens are not loyalist Thousand Suns. They are in no way related to them, and the GW Design Studio agrees with me.
But unfortunately, they were not made by GW.
Right, which is why they're not canon.
Well, they are now because
They are now.
they actually have a new special character to go along with their rules, who's a bit of a Smash Captain +1. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Gabriel Angelos? I think his hammer's really nice. The rest of him's kind of meh.
He has no jump pack, so I am not as sold on him as could be.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
like, just being candid, if I'm paying, 185, 200 points for something?
Yeah, 185.
Just,
Yeah,
if I wanted the opportunity to re-roll all my hits and have a decent melee threat, I'd either pay for Gilliman or Azure, which also is vulnerable.
I kind of feel like he is very much a trap for that very reason. If you're not familiar with the model, he's basically a captain in Terminator armor. He has a really awesome Thunderhammer. I will say this is a totally disgusting Thunderhammer, and at the end of the day, he walks out with like 8 attacks with a Thunderhammer, basically.
Yeah, I will say that is one of the cool aspects that I see GW moving towards, is no longer binary, like, hey, I have a Thunder Hammer. It's now I have different flexibility of attacks, like Mortarian's Chain Scythe, or his Scythe, or like Knights being able to go stomp, or like with a melee weapon.
Yeah. But yeah, I think unfortunately, competitively, he's dead on arrival because he is on foot.
I
And
mean,
price. Again, if he was 100 points, you'd no reason not to make room for him. But my problem is that he isn't going to be 100. He's going to be
No,
treated like
yeah.
Calgar
yeah.
without the
I
decal
think
right.
the points league heard of was he's like 180 something.
Yeah, 185. I'm looking at a picture right now. I would counter that, like, yeah, he doesn't have a jump pack, but he is in Terminator armor. You could deep strike him turn 2 and just ruin someone's day.
Trade for a 9-inch charge, though.
I mean, you can get rerolls and figure things out.
Eh.
Um, I, I, I,
I predicated like a year of Thousand Suns playing on. All right, turn 1, my Zangors jump across the field and I charge.
I
True,
mean,
but you have an 8-inch charge that you can re-roll both dice.
I think
Theoretically,
I think he's an interesting character. I think honestly, I think these rules do have some legs. If you're looking for slightly more durable Space Marines that are really good psychers, um, the fact that they
Actually,
can,
I'm sorry. That's what I was gonna say. When I meant the Thousand Suns, it wasn't so much the adaptation in terms of having all those spells, so much as having the ability to get to the smites. Like I know Grey Knights get it, but like if they could take that, like I would be much more comfortable with that. But
oh
they don't
yeah,
really have access to that, so
right,
it kind of mitigates any awesome because there's only going to be what maybe 4 or 5 spells total out of
right,
the entire Space Marine collection, like
right, and you
any
can spam
subfaction,
smite.
right?
Yeah.
So
I feel you there. I mean, I'm in this. I look at Zinch Demons the same way, where I'm like, oh, an awesome psyker-based army that can't cast Smite very much, and has
yeah,
like Zinch Demons are also limited to just one table. It's a weird thing that GW keeps doing with their psyker specialist. I don't understand why.
yeah.
I guess we don't want Smite to be too abusive like it was when it was completely unrestricted, but
And
yeah,
I'm sorry, I guess just to get
yeah,
everything, their relic is a better bolt pistol that you're never gonna take.
right.
yeah.
So
That's not.
whatever.
That,
it's
What?
it's like
Yeah,
it's a 2 damage AP3 bolt pistol.
now, to be fair, I think
Meh.
there might be other stuff we might be missing. Like there might be another page or something because I've only seen one page.
there might be
With
strats.
I don't even know
There,
that because the only one released on the page that I saw was the chief librarian upgrading
yeah,
the
I
library.
think they're only getting a chapter tactic, a strat, and a war gear, just like any of the other chapters. Because really, that's all the Space Marine. Each Space Marine chapter, that's
That's
all they get.
that's true.
That's pretty dumb.
But
Yeah,
and maybe special
No,
characters. Um,
other
yeah.
than
And I think that the thing about their rule is they don't get wounded on twos.
so okay. More appropriately, let's be more specific. You can either take a vanilla Space Marine tactic like Raven Guard, Ultramarines, whatever you want, or you can take their specialty, which is an unmodified roll of 1 or 2 always fails in the wound roll, irrespective of any abilities that the weapon or model making the attack makes.
Another
In,
question: Don't
in
one
addition,
always
uh-huh.
fail to wound?
Yeah,
Correct.
which
yes,
is why I'm saying it is a 16% damage
but
on
like
really high.
if you're Death Watching, you have +1 to wound.
Yeah.
Um,
One still
Now,
failed.
One's still fail though. One's
yeah,
always fail.
but the other thing is, in addition to when you make a psychic test or deny the witch, with the psycho model from this tactic, you can re-roll any of the dice.
Of one.
So,
mhm.
I'm on. So like it's not
Looks like a farseer. That's okay.
it's not bad,
Right.
but it's not.
What I expect happens is we see Supreme Command detachments of Blood Ravens.
With
Uh,
Yeah,
with like a couple librarians and maybe the librarian dread.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably see them in a mixed supreme because I don't
Uh,
well, the problem is
if you're
if you
mixed, you
mix them
lose the
in,
chapter tactic.
The chapter mechanics, I don't think it's very good though. I mean, especially if it's for characters, that doesn't really matter. 'Cause they're not
You
gonna
want the reroll ones of psychic dice.
Oh, that's the other thing.
I think the a natural roll 2 always fails is kind of good.
Yeah, it's good for characters because of assassins. No Vindicar is shooting your infantry-based librarian off of the field.
With their I wound on 2 up. No, you don't.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I feel like for
or big giant strength 8, 9 guns.
I mean, like
Yeah.
for one thing, it's a psyker in combat. He's dead because
It's not great, but
on another level, if it's Marine guys and they're getting shot with a las cannon, because like what else is going to wound them on 2s, but heavy weapons.
Thunder hammers, power fists are their equivalent.
Right.
Right.
It gives you a moment to like duel something, right? I can take my librarian and I can run it into your smash captain because they have a fair chance of just dicking you over when you wound me on a 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's not great, but it's something.
But like what I'm saying, like that's at the expense of giving up fallback and shoot and have leadership, or -1 to be hit.
Yeah, I think it would. That's why I say I think it would be Supreme Command. I only think you would run it on librarians for the psychic power, and then you would just kind of make use of the other half, which is unfortunate, but.
And they don't have their own table, right?
Or you run them as Indominus Crusaders and take a Grey Shield.
What is
sure.
So that, that one turn you need to fall back and shoot, you can.
Yeah, man, I think it's like I played Dawn of War. It's cool that they have the Blood Raven stuff.
I mean, I think it's cool. I don't think this is game breaking. I don't even think this is really super competitive. I'm looking forward to seeing my personal favorite chapter, the Raptors, get their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think what I think we're gonna see is we're gonna see a lot of the bigger chapters, the stuff that maybe used to be only Forge World or were kind of
right.
I think we're gonna see Angels of Absolution. I think we're gonna see the Steel guys. They had the Cog instead of the Aquila. We're gonna see Flesh Terrors. We're gonna see Minotaurs. We're gonna see Mantises.
Yo, Minotaurs are sick.
We're gonna see Carcharodons.
Yeah.
I hope we see Raptors. Raptors are awesome.
We're gonna see my white dwarf took forever to get delivered last month, but I just got it. And in the very front of that book, the letters to GW, someone wrote about, can we get more, indexes? And they specifically said, so many people have written us that we're going to do more. Blood Ravens is obviously the one coming this month that they wrote about. But then they also specifically called out Minotaurs. So I think at the very least we know those are coming.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that we'll see more
I
stuff.
think we're going to see Lamenters. We're going to see... like a lot of these secondary chapters that are well known. Are Howling Griffins the ones that are like the orange, the yellow, and
the
red
quarter
check?
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see a lot of these kind of better known but not primary chapters. Hey, give me back! I want my crazy. I'll take my crazy Polynesian Space Marines.
Yeah, you will.
I just want Angels of Absolution as a Dark Angels like that first.
What I really hope we see them do is we've seen really weird, like there was the earlier this edition, like the special, like you can buy this Primaris only chapter tactic version, and then we know that Conquest is going to do a Primaris only chapter. I hope this is an avenue where we see more of those disseminated, because it's really weird that the two that exist are kind of behind weird paywalls and kind of esoteric.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is a good place, if I'm not mistaken, to probably wrap up.
Yep.
Go ATC, go Blood Raven, Smash Captain things. More importantly, go Chaos Knights. Yeah.
Down with the Knights. Ban the Knights.
And from a personal perspective, rest in peace, Mike Castellan. I'm sure I'll bring it out again at some point, but took it out for last Raw, and I was happy I outperformed. But I know going forward, I'm not taking that to 64 minutes.
Well, I will. Let's wrap it up. Thank you everybody for watching.
Thanks.
Please catch up to us on social media. Follow our page. Like and subscribe and click the belly thing. Apparently, because that's the thing I have to say now. This is Pete.
Yay!
This is Pete the Headbanger.
I'm Dan.
I'm
I'm
right.
Connor. Solid intro, boy.
Everyone's doing great.
And but yeah, everybody keep climbing. Have a good week. I'll see y'all next Monday.
Have a